Welcome back to Making Money Matter, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Kerry Stevenson, and today bringing you insightful content again, this time with my good friend, Tony Loughran. Now, Tony and I met, some time ago, not going into dates, Tony, no. Back when I was running Newsworld and he was working for the BBC as their head of security. So he was getting journalists in and out of some pretty hairy situations over in Africa, in Europe, in the Middle East. And really making sure that people were well equipped if they were going into dangerous situations. He now lives in Australia. We've caught up a couple of times. And one of the things you guys all know, I love books. And by the way, coming to you from the IMARC convention down here at the ICC in Sydney's beautiful Darling Harbour. This is the final day of the show. I've still got my voice, which is good, but it's been a very busy show. Luckily, I've got Tony here. Grabbed him out of a very, very busy show. We're going to have a chat. One of the things I want to say to you guys is I always want you to have a look at new things to read to engage your mind. Stop watching Netflix, start reading books. Well, here we are. Tony's written a book called Zero Risk. Now, his life, Tony's life, has been all about risk. Mine, not so much so. Taking it, preventing it. You know, he grew up in Liverpool. And what he learned, he learned how to survive up there, but then he started to learn through the BBC how to help other people. But this is really his life story, why he got into the BBC, looking after journalists there, and then why he started a company called Zero Risk International, which right now helps people understand risky situations. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about geopolitical risk, etc. But before we do, Tony, where can they get the book?
You can actually buy the book in any particular bookstores, Dimmicks, and
great.
It's available there. It's online as well, and the audiobook will come out in March. So you can actually get any copies at all. If you grab me around there, I'll sign it for you as well. If I'm kind of knocking around the streets, and it's gone really well. And as you said, it was my life story.
Yeah,
2 years in the making.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Really, really happy.
Okay, keeping others safe in a dangerous world. Well, let's talk about a dangerous world. Absolutely. Here we are at the IMARC convention in Darling Harbour.
Yeah.
A lot of equipment manufacturers here, a lot of mining companies here, one of the largest shows. What are you doing here?
Good question. So what's happened to us is that we were actually kind of as specialty kind of support teams anyway, Kerry. We looked after the education sector, we looked after the retail sector, all around the globe, from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and where they source from. And somebody said to me, actually, your skill set would be fantastic within the mining side.
Oh.
So here I am, into the mining side, and we've had a great time so far. We've met a producer and saw some of the mining companies up there, and they are now very interested in our global travel security product and some of our C-suite products, where we look after people from woe to go.
Okay, so hang on a second. That just piqued my interest for a moment, Tony.
Yeah.
A global travel insurance, if you like.
It is insurance, but
is it for people like me, or is it company?
100%. No.
Really?
Yeah, we do it for individuals. In fact, to be honest with you, this is a really interesting thing. We thought we were going to come here to actually look at companies and approach companies. But we've had private investors come up to us and say, look, I'm taking 5 people over to look at mine. I've taken them to look at a potentially, prospect or whatever. Can you look after us? Can you write a risk assessment on Sulawesi? Never been there before. Can you write some particular protocols on how we can get out of certain places? Can I use your app? Now, our app has been going for 8 years. One of the first apps to come on the market ready for a travel risk point of view.
Right.
And they can tap into emergency help if they want to. They can tap into check-ins. They've got all of the actual embassies listed there on the app around the world.
Wow.
They've got all of the hospitals that are listed. We've done evacuations through hospitals through our app as well. So they said, give us it. Okay, this is exactly what we're looking for, really.
Okay, yeah. And so is this just a free app download from the store?
No,
will you pay for it, or what's
the
deal, Tony?
What's the deal? The deal is cool, Kerry. The deal is quite interesting because we started out just thinking to ourselves, we'll just give you the app. Off you go, Kerry. Do your particular thing.
Well, I'm a friend. You can give me the app.
Absolutely, I will do. Okay, very dangerous. Excuse me. So, big thing was, you can give it to an individual and they can go and take it away with them to use it. But what they like more is to know that we're on the other end of the app. So instead of just being a next of kin there where they can actually contact us what's going on, they've got zero risk. Okay. And all of our global team respond to an emergency help or a check-in, and we then perform effectively a rescue. touch point with anyone that's actually kind of having a problem with things.
Okay.
Very successful. And the interesting thing, our app is probably one of the only apps that's out there that's two. Okay, so in other words,
Oh, yes. Okay.
somebody can press check-in, somebody can press emergency help, and they wait for it and wait for it, and then somebody comes online and says, "Here you go."
Right.
Not so much for the check-in side. Okay.
Right.
So when someone presses check-in, I get the check-in and I write back straight away and say, "I can see you at latitude, longitude." And it's a great comfort for the people that are out there, especially the explorers in some of the fields doing the actual seismic stuff as well.
Yep.
Where at the end of the day, we can be there with them and making sure that they know that they're safe and they can get on with the job. And some of them said that's really making the difference for us because they're really worried about going to some of these places. So dangerous place.
Now, you got an SAS background, don't you? You're one of those tough guys. I think, guys, I think I might have to just stand a little bit away from, what do you mean sort of?
So I kind of started off as a ship's doctor. 3 years I studied at the Royal Navy Medical School. I then finished there and I went into the commandos and I got my Green Beret. And I went from the Green Beret and I was then pushed into Special Forces into a team called the Mountain and Arctic Warfare Corps. And they are the specialists in working in remote locations.
Wow.
And we are talking -40, okay, in Norway.
Ugh, yuck.
-11, the hairs come out your nose.
Right.
And you don't touch anything that's metal because
Your skin on. Yeah.
So we worked with the actual people in the Arctic, the remote side of it, the jungle side. And what we became really was the military intelligence team that would actually go in and start spying on individuals, bring the information back to that. But I was the actual support medical team with the actual group. So 4-man group or whatever. And it taught me a lot of stuff. And what happened after that, which not many people know about, but it's in the book, I actually went on the rigs, the oil rigs.
This is vaguely remember hearing about this. But yeah, go on.
This is interesting
Yeah,
because
go on.
I was talking to somebody else the other day, and they were a young kind of couple of people as well. And they remember Pipa Alpha,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
which was a big rig that blew because
Yeah.
what happened was someone forgot to actually switch off the gas vents.
Yeah.
And it blew up the
Blew
actual
the whole
main deck.
thing.
167 people killed. I joined the rigs literally weeks after that, So all of a sudden the Cullen report came out in the UK, looking at safety standards, looking at security. And then what we did is, from my role anyway, was looking at it from a kind of a crisis management point of view on the rigs
Right.
to make sure this didn't happen again.
Okay.
And it was tough. It was a year's worth of, for me, going backwards and forwards, flying in and out, in Aberdeen and the North Sea,
Yeah.
rough as anything. And even some of the helo journeys were quite hairy as well, where they were landing on a sixpence.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Very, very different. And some of the helos fell off and went into the North Sea.
Helos being helicopters.
Helicopters, sorry, Gary, yeah, helicopters. It is.
Helicopters. Okay,
Yes.
so some of them fell off into the north.
Yeah.
Were they not, from a risk point of view, weren't they tied down?
No. So some of them were landing and missed the actual platform, or what had happened was it was a backdraft in the air or whatever, and then they would actually kind of flip over. Now, when they went into the ocean, most of them actually had buoyancy devices that would play.
Okay.
But the big thing for us as well is that before you join the rigs, okay, as any particular kind of a mechanic kind of seismology, like Schlumberger, any of those particular specialists, they had to go through the helicopter escape room.
Of course.
Which is, for your viewers, okay, the most hairiest thing you can think of, because you're packed in this particular shell, like a helicopter. It's a training assumption.
Right.
And they lower you down onto the water and they flip you upside down very quickly and then sink you in. And you wait for the water to come up.
Holy moly.
And then you've got to get through this tiny window. And often people will get stuck and whatever. There's divers there to help you out, but you've got to go through that because of this helicopter kind of problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's bring it up to present day if you can, because I don't have a lot of time. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was, there's a lot of talk at the moment about the Middle East. We know what's going on we don't know what's going on, but there's the Russia-Ukraine conflict. There's Israel, Middle East. We've got lots of things happening, geopolitical risk. What's going on in the world as you see it from a zero risk
perspective?
Yeah. Because we're Aussies, we're looking at opportunities, but we're looking at, some people are a bit worried. What's Tony Loughran's view on the world?
This sounds strange, okay, but I'm going to actually kind of preempt this with the statement that the world is getting a more difficult and dangerous place.
Okay.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay.
What I think should be happening is companies in particular should not only be looking at kind of potential for kidnapping, ransom, terrorist attacks, all of this stuff, high-end stuff, but climatically, things are shifting. And I've written a paper for next year that I presented, this year, sorry, the 2025 global forecast for what's happening geopolitically around the world. And the shift in temperatures, the shift in oceans, water, everything else for that matter.
Okay, go on.
So people don't realize this, that the climatic factor, okay, plays a significant part in where you'll go into and how long you could be there for as well. Then you put that, what you do then, you put the political scene on top where there's going to be elections. There's 26 elections next year.
Are they really?
26, okay.
26.
And some of them, okay, are pretty kind of straightforward, but we don't even know what's going to happen with the American elections.
That's right.
And
Next week.
fully involved in that, okay? And it's a very interesting kind of concept where at the end of the day, we're providing kind of protection for some of the companies wanting to fly in there because of this potential for flash demonstrations, protests, and aggression as well. So there's all of that at play. And on top of that as well, you've actually got potentially the overthrow of certain governments or regimes. You have got Israel pushing Hamas and Hezbollah out. And what we've now started to find in South America, you love South America.
I do.
It is go, go, go. Okay.
Well, I also love it's the people.
Yes. Unfortunately, at the moment, now when we're working with some of the news teams, Hezbollah and Hamas have started to move into this space, into South America, to move funds. Okay. And that's a bit of an all-time first here, but that's what we're watching right now.
Wow.
And
so Hezbollah and Hamas.
yeah, it's mainly Hezbollah.
Why are they moving into South America?
Because if you look at the money that's being kind of generated between Iran and Hezbollah,
yep,
they want to put it somewhere else. Now, for quite a few years, it's called the tri-border state,
right,
on the north of Brazil. Is the triangle itself is a place where some of the terror groups have dropped their money into it and created training camps. And the Americans are onto this right now, yeah.
Okay.
But the concern is that at the end of the day, they're not going to disrupt the actual industry itself within certain countries because they want everyone to continue to play in the gold space, the silver space, the precious minerals. But they put their money into there because they are fearful, I should say, of it being taken away from them within the actual Middle East. And also some of their leaders now, as you can see, Qassim, who's the new leader of Hezbollah, he's now come out and he's actually in Iran. So they no longer are safe within, certainly within kind of Lebanon and different places as well. So people are moving around, okay? South America presents a really good haven for some of the actual individuals.
Okay.
So we have to watch out for that. And we have to watch out for the dynamics shifting at play.
And so that, do you think some of these issues that we're seeing, like Ukraine, Russia, Israel, the Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, any of that going to go away, or are we in for a very long, drawn-out, difficult period of time?
Yep.
And what should we be doing to, I guess, protect ourselves and mitigate any of those exceptional circumstances?
Very, very good question, Kerry. I think that at the end of the day, what we're looking at now is the comment that's being made. Joe Biden made it the other day. Is basically Lebanon.
He made a comment?
He did somewhere. Someone captured it. Please hold that bubble. But he made the comment at the end of the day that Hezbollah, sorry, not Hezbollah, that Lebanon,
Lebanon
is fixable. Okay, but Gaza not so. Okay, which really kind of throws the cat amongst the pigeon as to how long we're going to be in there. But the big thing is it's not going to be just maintained around the area. What we've actually got is Yemen, where the Houthis themselves are actually firing rockets into Saudi.
Yes. Yep.
Sponsored by Iran. Okay, so billions of dollars being poured into Yemen. Millions, 2 billions. Okay.
Wow.
And that's what is the problem, because Iran's the agitator, and you'll find all these different splinters going on everywhere. Now, the one thing I'm going to mention, which your mining clients are going to be interested in, what I've noticed, okay, and this is a really interesting one, is we're looking at the actual swathe of terrorism now in Africa from west to east. Okay, so at the end of the day, what you've actually got is over here on the west coast, you've got your Chads and your Burkina Faso and all these different areas. And Boko Haram was the terrorist group that played there.
Yes, yep.
Islamic State are now there. So Islamic State K, okay, the actual kind of the group that actually kind of performed some of these atrocities, the bomb that went in Kabul when they were trying to get everybody out.
Oh yes.
So what they've done is they've hijacked the actual kind of the terror link, but the problem is it looks like it's going all the way across to Kenya and beyond to Mombasa, and they're linking up every single kind of move that they can. Okay, so it's going to be
What's the
quite
end
different
result? I mean, what's
domination.
really?
Yeah, so it's the caliphate. So effectively, it's the
That's
Syrian.
the caliphate,
Yeah, we want Islamic kind of caliphate right the way throughout the middle of Africa.
right?
And when you think of it, you've got a dominance now because you've got all of your minerals there. You've got your gold, you've got everything
Right.
you could mine. And China obviously wants some of that as well.
Well, I was going to say, is China going to let this happen?
I don't think they've got a chance of doing it, to be honest with you, because there's no real control. I mean, there might be some in the background, but the terror side of it really interests me because Boko Haram, for instance, have been going for 18 years.
Right.
But what's happened is now is IS are in there, and the French have pulled out of Chad, okay, as the military are concerned anyway, leaving it to the regional government.
Wow.
Some of the aid agencies have pulled out, okay, and it's becoming very, very difficult. So coming back to what we can do, is we do the risk assessments on the countries.
Yep.
And we do a thing called postcode intel, which means we can zoom in to the place where you're mining or drilling up there.
Right.
And what we then can do is to give you a security overview of that area.
Okay.
And a forecast risk as well.
And a forecast,
Yeah.
which I think is even better because mines don't happen overnight.
No.
You don't want to go in there, spend 5 years. And we as investors, ladies and gentlemen, what we don't want to do is we don't want to go and invest somewhere that 5 years down the track is going to have an issue. So having that, I guess, forecast.
Yeah.
Looking into the future is probably.
And I can give you a golden nugget, excuse the pun.
Yeah,
Okay?
I love a golden nugget.
The gold nugget is, okay, we are now on the Liberty Insurance panel.
What does that mean?
So what it means on this one, Kerry, is that we are there as the rescuers if something goes wrong, okay, for all of their clients, wherever mining client signs up with the brokers with Liberty.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is now is they're recognizing our work as well, and they're putting insurances, okay, into mines that people wouldn't have touched before.
Okay.
And that's really important because some people will operate without any insurance policies, which is kind of suicide.
Yep.
But what they've said now is that where they go into may have a higher risk, but like you said, the very beautiful word mitigation. Okay, what can you mitigate
Yep.
against? So that's what we do. Is we come in and we actually vet security companies, look at the helo extractions they've got, look at just exactly how they can stay on the ground, what weapons are used if needs be, and what we can do then is to get a really good risk control plan.
You're not slowing down anytime soon. Final question for you.
Yes.
Supply chain logistics.
Ooh,
Glo-
okay.
I know we could probably go on
love
for
it.
hours, but one of the things we saw during COVID was that you realize just how connected the world is.
Yes.
Now, when we're talking about some challenges in the Middle East, when we talk about challenges with the Houthis,
Yep.
they can close off that area
Yep.
and stop a lot of international trade. What's your view on what potentially the risks are going forward from a supply chain logistics?
Let me give you two scenarios here, okay? And one of them is what we've actually been used to. And you're quite right, COVID caused a massive disruption in the supply chain. When we were working with retail, when we are working with retail, we're looking at the commodities coming out of China.
Yep.
So if the Chinese kick off a war with Taiwan, okay, the South China Sea is
Gone.
okay. So what companies are doing now is they're de-risking China.
Yep.
They're pulling out and moving to Vietnam,
Yep.
Cambodia, Pakistan, and different other areas that you wouldn't have even dreamed of.
Yep.
To de-risk that situation, and we're helping them do that. The second thing, which is more worrying, I've just written a paper for this for two of the papers actually recently, is supply chain disruption and infiltration. So if you
Okay.
looked at Hezbollah,
Yep.
okay, and you looked at the Pager situation, everyone's now going, hang on a sec, we've got supply chains coming in from all over the place. We've never ever vetted our supply chains, both from a this is the interesting one, from a terrorism point of view, okay? But the other one is beautiful for all these guys in the room, it's industrial espionage. So chips that are provided for phones, okay, all of a sudden become receivers.
Right.
So you put your phone
Oh
down
yeah, I
now,
think my phone's already a receiver. So don't worry about that.
it's gone out to the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the problem. And that's the thing that we're getting involved in now is to do audits on supply chains and how they've been intervened, broken into, and the people that are behind them as well. So it's busy.
Your business is just, because there is, sadly, we live in a very connected world. We live in a very electronic world. We live in a world, in my opinion, which needs to stop being so aggressive, but it's not going to stop anytime soon. which means you're going to be a very, very busy man for a long time, sadly.
I know.
It gives me no pleasure
Yeah.
to see that what you're doing is growing in importance. I think it's terribly sad, but from an investor point of view, I guess if you want to stay really safe and lower your risk totally, you just stick within your own jurisdiction, perhaps.
100%. But the thing is that you still have to look outside of the envelope of different countries.
Yeah.
Because the actual particular kind of promise or the engagement might be there. What we're saying to like yourself or any other company, let us take out the heat of the risk for you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's cool it down. Let's tell you exactly what's going on.
All right. So all of you out there, if you're looking at investing in a mining company, maybe turn around and say, get them to buy Tony's book, Zero Risk. It's Keeping Others Safe in a Dangerous World. It's out now. You can buy it at any good bookstore. It'll be out on Audible in March next year. Tony, it's great to chat to you. And it's, as I said before, I saw him here at the IMARC convention and thought, what's he doing here? Clearly, he's helping the companies that are here de-risk wherever it is that they're working. But for now, Tony, thanks so much for joining me on Making Money Matter.
Loved it.